Guys, what's going on? We're going to get started in just a minute. I'm just going to start getting some people on. I'm going to get the Instagram connected. So if you were just joining in, I'm just getting my Instagram feed connected. Instagram is live now. Awesome. Cool. So we are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube. All right, guys, I'm going to jump into it. This is going to be very interesting. First off, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to my Instagram, my name is Marlon Johnson. I'm a high performance coach. I work with entrepreneurs, helping them break through limiting beliefs and ultimately becoming the people that produce the results. What we're going to be talking about, I did a live last week. Last week when I came on, it was supposed to be about a 10-minute long live. It turned into almost an hour and a half, about 90 minutes. And we broke into a lot of different concepts. And we started to finish up on this concept right here of a paradigm shift. And I asked people, did you want me to come back and finish this up? A lot of people said, please, absolutely. Hell yeah. If you want to go see that video, it's on my Instagram. It's not on the YouTube. Today, we're streaming live to YouTube. I'm pretty excited about that one. So this is my first time streaming live to YouTube and Instagram at the same time. If you're watching me on Instagram, notice you're going to be getting a cut off version of the screen. I can't do anything about that. If you're on Instagram, you're probably only seeing this much of my whiteboard. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing the entire whiteboard. So I would say go over to the YouTube channel. The way you do that is just comment the word YouTube. In fact, I'm going to set my Instagram up right now so that you guys can actually see that. I would comment the word YouTube if you guys want to get a link to the YouTube channel. It's going to be much better from that place. So real quick, let me just get a thumbs up. If you guys are on Instagram and you can hear me, if you're on YouTube and you can hear me, give me a thumbs up so I know the audio is coming through. I want to make sure it's crystal clear because today is going to basically be a masterclass. And the reason it's going to be a masterclass, I was driving home from Starbucks just now. I went and grabbed a cup of coffee. As I was driving back home, I found myself, this is what I do in my car. I either talk to God or I start doing some affirmations. And as I'm doing my affirmations, I'm repeating to myself over and over, I'm a top producing high performance coach. I'm a top producing high performance coach. I get results for my clients. I get results for my clients. People are happy because they met me. I'm saying these things over and over. And it got me thinking, as when you claim to be something, why do some people struggle with affirmations? Why do some people not make it happen? I'm just going to mute my phone because people are still texting me. Yesterday was my birthday. Yesterday I turned 30, so a lot of people are still just texting me. I have not responded to everyone yet. Also, if you gave me a happy birthday shout out yesterday, thank you so much. It was an amazing day filled with love, joy, gratitude, blessings, all the whole nine. So thank you so much. So as I'm driving home, I'm thinking to myself, why do some people struggle with affirmations when they say affirmations like, I am healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm prosperous, I'm rich, I'm beautiful, I'm a millionaire, I'm this, I'm that? Why do they struggle with it? Well, ultimately, they struggle, in my opinion, they struggle because you're saying the affirmation, but you don't believe it. And why don't you believe it? Because you're not taking the action that would give you any sort of reason to believe it. For example, let's imagine this. Let's imagine that every day I woke up and I kept saying, I'm a basketball player. I'm a basketball player. I'm a basketball player. And I just kept repeating it over and over. I stood in the mirror. I high-fived myself. I gave myself some slap ass. I told myself I'm a basketball player over and over and over again because I read that you're supposed to think about what you want to become. But I never went and picked up the ball. I never actually went out and played basketball. See, at some point, those words would actually start to cut me because I'm not living into them. I'm not allowing them to come alive through my action. So a lot of times people struggle with their affirmations because you're not doing anything to lean into it. You're not finding any proof for yourself in your existence, in your life, of the things that you say, right? I say money comes to me easily, frequently, abundantly, in ever increasing amounts from expected and unexpected places. So that means when I find a penny on the ground, I consider that money. I just found money. Money came to me. A penny on the floor. Some of you are like, Marlon, I would never stop to pick up a penny. That's the difference between you and me. I look for the evidence in my life, and I don't care if it's big evidence, small evidence, it's evidence to me. And I'm going to take it, and it's going to be another win stacked in. So as I'm driving home, I'm thinking, okay, my affirmation, I'm a high performance coach, right? Well, what does a high performance coach do? Luckily, I have coaching clients who I coach regularly. Actually, just finished up a coaching call earlier today. I am blessed and honored that I get to coach my clients. I'm truly I'm the luckiest man on the planet because they come to me and they let me guide them through. They let me pull them out. They let me give them paradigm shifts that get them back on the right track. And they send me text messages saying, thank you, dude, you got me back on track. Because of this, my business is moving forward. Because of you, we're producing, right? We're doing 6 figures now. We're doing, we closed the deal. Me and my partner had the conversation we're supposed to have. I love getting that sort of feedback. I love it. And so ultimately, I'm thinking, okay, what does a high performance coach do? What does a trainer do? Well, he gives out value, right? He puts out value. So I'm like, all right, cool. When I get home, I'm going to go make some more value. I'm going to continue that part 2. So again, if you're on YouTube, what's up? If you're on Instagram, go over to the YouTube channel. Check this out. I want to bring your attention to this. We're going to talk about this side of the board first. We're going to spend about 15 minutes here. Then we're going to go over to this side of the board. The reason you want to understand this side of the board first is because when you understand this side of the board, you're going to understand how your mind works from a symbolic standpoint. For example, right here, we got $100, right? Now, that $100 is not real money. It's symbolic of money. It represents money. It's supposed to represent gold in a bank. That's what it does. So I have an image on the board, and this is not your mind, but it's going to represent your mind because I want you to be able to use pictures. We work symbolically. We work with pictures in our mind. So we're going to use this so we can conceptualize together and we can see the same thing. Last week, you heard me talk about this big circle up here representing your full mind, right? Everything about your mind is this big circle up here, and it's broken up into 2 pieces. It's divided into your conscious and your subconscious mind. What's cool about this division, what's really interesting about this division is up here in the conscious mind, this is where most of us do our day-to-day dealings. When you're having a conversation with people, as you're listening to me right now on YouTube, and you're taking this information in, when you read books, you're doing it with your conscious mind. However, understand this, 95% of your results come from your subconscious mind. You spend a majority of your day focused on your conscious mind, but 95% of the results that you produce, the amount of money you make, the sort of relationships you're in, the sort of friends you attract are a result of the subconscious mind. When you hear law of attraction, what that really is, this is your subconscious mind pulling to it the things that it's in harmony with. But your focus is up here. I want you to start to bring your focus down here where it matters because your subconscious mind does the work. So where does our conscious mind get ideas from? Our conscious mind gets ideas from our outer environment. Our 5 senses are how we interact with the world. Right now, you're interacting with me through your 5 senses. You're using your sight, and you're using your hearing, and you might even be using your touch because you're holding your phone, but you're using these 3 out of your 5 senses. You're not smelling me and you're not tasting me right now, but you're seeing me, hearing me, and touching. You're touching your phone. So you're building images in your mind. You're building thoughts in your conscious mind from what you're taking in through your 5 senses, 3 out of your 5 senses. When you do this repetitively over and over and over enough, you start to take in certain information over and over and over. Eventually, you impress it upon the subconscious mind. This is why you'll hear people say what you think about you eventually become. The more you start to impress a thought upon the subconscious mind, the more likely it is to be received by the subconscious mind. See, in the conscious mind, you can accept and reject information. Right now, as you're listening to me, you might choose to tune me out. You might say, Marlon, this is a waste of my time. This is boring. Get to the point. Hurry up. Maybe you're a D-type personality. Get to the point. Just tell me what I need to do to make money, and let me go make money. Slow it down. We'll get there. Your conscious mind is what gives you the ability to accept and reject. Your subconscious mind, however, does not have that luxury. When it is given information, it can only express. In fact, it has to express itself. And so it expresses itself through the one thing it has. It's connected to your body, to this, to your physical body, which science now tells us is just a mass of molecules vibrating at a certain frequency. Really easy to think about. You went to school, you went to physics, you were taught that atoms vibrate. And at the rate of their vibration, we call them molecules and DNA, and we call it all this cool stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just molecules vibrating. So your body is a bunch of molecules vibrating. When your subconscious mind gets something, it changes the frequency at which these molecules vibrate. If the subconscious gets something negative, this body vibrates at a negative rate. If it gets something positive, this body vibrates at a positive rate, or you could say a higher vibration versus a lower vibration. So when we're in a lower vibration, as the body goes out and does things and interacts with the world, what sort of results do you think you're going to produce? Of course, negative lower vibrations will produce negative lower results. Case in point, have you ever had a bad day where you're feeling upset, you're feeling grudgy, you're feeling just down, and you're still having to go to work, and maybe you have to make sales calls, maybe you have to make a presentation, maybe you have to do a meeting, and as you're talking to people, you're rubbing them the wrong way, although it's not your intention, it's the vibration you're in, and you even say, like, I'm in a bad mood, right? And someone says, like, yo, his vibes are off, her vibes are off today. And so the results that you produce, you don't put your best foot forward. That's not how you necessarily want people to remember you, but that's the impression you leave with them. That's the sort of impression of you that they have. So then that negative result goes out into the world. You have to be reminded of it tomorrow when you come back in, when they're writing up the report on the meeting, when you're looking at your social media and you see the picture that you took and you saw that there was a scowl on your face. And so that it goes back into your head, produces another negative thought, which gets impressed upon the subconscious, and you get caught in a spiral. You get caught in a spiral because you don't understand how this works. Now, if we understand how this works and we say, well, Marlon, I don't want negative results anymore. I want positive results, right? Up here in my conscious mind, I think about being a millionaire. I watch the videos. I watch Alex Hormozy. I watch Bob Proctor. I watch Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Pace Morby. I look at these guys, Steve Harvey. I listen to it, Les Brown. I'm the one. I watch those videos. And that's what I want to have. I want to do that with my life. So what do I need to do? Because I'm trying to change the results, and I'm taking all the action, but nothing's changing. The reason nothing is changing yet is because you're taking action with a negative foundation. You're trying to produce positive results with a negative foundation. You have to change the foundation. You have to change the seed. And right now you're picking up information from your environment. Right now, if your environment isn't serving you, if your environment isn't inspiring you, this is why it's so important that you've heard me say this in the past, cut your negative friends out. If you have loser friends, let go of them. If you have negative people in your life, let go of them, separate from them, because you're taking it in. You're taking in negativity from what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Now, if you say to me, Marlon, I can't, you don't understand. I can't leave my environment because it's my family. I've got to stay to take care of them. We don't socioeconomically, Marlon. I would love to just get up and leave, but we don't have the funds to do so. We'd be in a worse off position if we try to leave right now. I get that. I have 3 kids. I get that. So instead of doing this and leaving your physical environment, what we're going to do is we're going to start to pay attention to your internal environment. This is really interesting about humans. This is probably the coolest thing about being a human, in my opinion. The coolest thing about being a human, about being a man or being a woman, is you have internal sensory factors. You have mental faculties. Write this down. You have 6 internal mental faculties. These are like muscles inside that you were never taught how to use. This is what you should have been learning in school from the time you were in grade school. If this seems complicated, it's really not. The thing is, this is new to you. So if this is feeling like it's going over your head, I had a woman once tell me, Marlon, I loved everything you said, but it just felt so confusing. I said, well, it's like tying your shoe. The first time you ever did it, it felt so confusing, but then you kept doing it. You kept doing it. Now you could stand up, tie your shoe while you're talking to people. You could have a conversation, chew gum while tying your shoe. In fact, you could probably do it with your eyes closed in the dark because it was repetition. So don't be alarmed if you need to come back and watch this again. Don't be alarmed if you're feeling like this is going a little over my head, because it will start to make sense as you practice this. And guys, I'm going to go and look at my comments in a second. I'm going to engage with the comments in a little bit, but I have a computer screen over here. I've got the camera over here. I've got the whiteboard over here. I want to make sure that I'm staying on track with this so I can get this information across to you. We've got our 5 mental faculties. Or 6 mental faculties. So let's write this down. 6 mental faculties. Hopefully you can read that. And hopefully I'm spelling things right. Also, by the way, my spelling since the time I was in like first grade has not been the greatest. So I will have spelling errors. And if you don't like that about me, then you really just, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem, okay? Because you don't need to be good at spelling in order to be successful. Here we go. We've got our imagination, our memory, our will, our perception, our reason, and our intuition. I'm going to go over what each of these are in just a moment. But write these down. You've got imagination, memory, will, perception, reason, and intuition. The reason I'm repeating it is I understand some of you might not be able to read it with the camera not being zoomed in on it. So I want to make sure you got that. When we look at our imagination, here's what's interesting. Right now, the average person is having to get thoughts and ideas into their conscious mind by what's happening in their outer world, which is great, right? It's awesome that we have healthy five senses that give us information about our world. But what if our environment is a negative environment? What if I'm growing up around parents who are always arguing, people who are always fighting, drugs, crime, rape, all these things that I don't want more of in my life? Well, if this is all I'm seeing in my environment, what do I do? Beautiful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily cut out. I'm going to separate from my environment and I'm going to go to my internal world, because I'm going to be able to use my imagination to create new thoughts. See, right now, this is what's happening. You've got your environment bringing thoughts in. The environment is bringing thoughts in. Instead, I can use imagination to create a new thought out of nothing. I can use imagination to create a new thought for myself. And it's not really out of nothing, it's using energy. However, I can conjure up a new thought. This is where innovation comes from. This is where ideas come from. This is one of the most powerful skills that you have available, and most people don't use it. The imagination, the ability to build pictures in your mind. Most of us have let go of this because we're constantly being bombarded with everyone else's thoughts, ideas, and pictures in the world, because your camera, your cell phone, your social media, your laptop, you're driving in the car, the radio's on. Like, you are never having time to be silent and let your mind go to work and paint and build the picture. Everyone is imaginative. Everyone is creative. Everybody has a creative mind. Some people say, well, I'm not all that creative. Yes, you are. You just haven't used that muscle in a long time. Right? It's like me saying I'm not very strong. Well, if I haven't gone to the gym and worked out, why would I be strong? I haven't lifted anything. I haven't done anything requiring those muscles. If you don't use it, you lose it. So if we want to start to get our imagination to come back, we begin using it, and we begin to use the imagination to create new ideas. So the imagination is the ability to paint new pictures. Einstein called it the preview of life's coming attractions. He says your imagination is the preview to life's coming attractions. He would use his imaginations to see the picture of the future. Van Gogh used to say, people would ask, like, how do you paint so well? He says, well, I dream my painting and then I paint my dream. Right? I would see it in my mind and then I would paint out what I saw in my mind. That's the imagination. The memory, this is an interesting one. If the imagination is being able to look forward into the future and create something, memory is being able to look into the past and create something. A lot of you make the mistake of believing that your memories are objective facts. The truth is, your memories are subjective lies that you tell yourself. Here's why. One time that exists, and that's right now. Time is an illusion. I'm not going to go too deep down this rabbit hole. That's not for this video. There could be an entire other video on this. But just follow me with, if I ask you what time is it, you can always say it's right now. And that answer is always going to be correct. There will never be a time where that answer is not correct. It will always be right now. It's an illusion that we believe time is separate from everything. And that's okay. It's a part of the human experience. We get to experience time as this linear moving thing. This is why we get to look into the future. This is why we get to look into the past. It's the illusion that we get to enjoy as human beings. Cool. Why am I bringing this up? Because our memory is our subjective view of the past. Why can I ask two people about an event that happened last week and get two different answers? If the past is so objectively clear, why are there two different answers? And if I get a third person, I'll get a third answer, a fourth person, a fourth answer. Because the past is like our imagination. It's what we remember about it. It's the picture we paint about it. It's the story we made up about the situation. So with that being the case, some people, your memories aren't serving you. And if your memories are made up, what I challenge you to do is play with the idea of, well, what would it be like if I were to reimagine the past as a story that served me? And some of you are like, well, Marlon, I can't just do that. You don't get it. I was abused as a kid. Okay, sure. Let's say you were abused as a kid. Fair. But what does it mean, right? What is that story? You're the one making that memory in your mind. You're the one replaying that memory over and over. So towards what ends? What's the meaning you're associating with that? You have that power with your mental faculty to look at your memory and say, you know what? That happened to me so that I can learn how to be more empathetic, so I can learn how to be more caring, so I can learn about the injustices of the world to become a light. That's your memory. We've got the will. The will is the ability to make yourself do whatever it is you tell yourself to do. That's willpower. You have the ability to make yourself do things. That is the will. It is a finite resource. It's like a muscle. Again, all these are muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them. If I don't practice my will, if I don't practice getting out of bed, if I don't practice making the calls when I'm supposed to practice, if I don't practice looking at myself and saying in the mirror, I love you, if I don't practice my affirmations, if I don't practice my goal setting, if I don't practice my scheduling, what happens is I'm not exercising the will. So when I need the will to do something, when I need it to go work out, when I need it to make the call, when I need it to ask the girl out, when I need it to do whatever, it's not there for me. Just like if I don't practice lifting weights, I can't go into the gym, get under the bar and start trying to squat 500 pounds if I haven't worked my muscles up to be able to handle that sort of stress. So when you're talking about you want to build a business, you want to build an empire, you want to make $1 billion, you want to make $1 million in a month, and you're trying to do these things and you're being found out, you're finding out that it requires so much of you. It requires you to build a team. It requires you to learn marketing. It requires you to learn sales. And you're like, I can't do this stuff. And I don't have the capacity to even get myself to sit down and focus long enough to make it happen. Well, why would you? You've never practiced will. You never worked on that muscle. Why would you ever have the willpower to do anything that's necessary if you don't use that muscle on the smaller things? My willpower starts off with me making my bed in the morning. My willpower starts off with me waking up at the time I said I was going to wake up. I was telling my barber yesterday, my willpower starts with me going for a run every single day. I haven't missed a run in over a year, about a year and some change now, as I've been training for these marathons. And I lean on that. I don't really even care about the marathons at this point. I just care that that's so consistently building my willpower to do other things like come on and make a live video, to get on camera, to set the camera up, to set up the live stream, and to come out here and start talking about the things that are important. So that's our will. Keep that in mind. Your perception. Now, this is very much like what I was talking about with your memory. Perception is key. Oftentimes, we think that there are facts that are very objective in the universe that can't be changed. And to a degree, there are some. But most of the things that you as a human deal with 99% of the time are subjective. They're subjective, which means it's your perception of what you're looking at. Have you ever seen the Key and Peele skit? Shout out to Key and Peele, where they're texting. And the guy, he says in the text message, he's like, hey, what are you doing? He goes, nothing, just chilling. He says, do you want to go grab a drink? And he's like, sure. And he's like, sure. And the guy reads it as like, oh, that's so passive aggressive. Like, yo, what's your deal? Do you not want to get a drink? No, bro, let's get a drink. Let's get a drink, right? He's like reading it like the guy's giving him an attitude. His perception of the text messages was, this dude is giving me an attitude. And this is what happens. Sometimes we see things that aren't really there, that aren't serving us. Sometimes we see things that aren't really there that are serving us. What I want you to do is I want you to choose your perception. I personally choose to perceive all things as happening for my favor and benefit. So when anything happens to me, it actually happens for me. I don't believe anything happens to me. I believe everything happens for me. Everything is for my growth and benefit. Last year, my car got broken into. Everything got stolen. My suitcases, my laptop, my skateboard, my camera, my snowboard, everything. I'm talking thousands of dollars worth of material possession that I've owned since I was in middle school, all just taken from me. And guess what I choose to believe about it? And I chose to believe this very quickly, which is why I didn't get upset about it. That was for my benefit. I'd always played the game of life not to lose. My perception of this was, hey, everything was taken away from me to prove to me that I don't need anything in order to be a winner. I don't need any of that stuff. Material things don't make me a winner. I know that. I've got my health, I've got God, I got my relationships. I'm good. Really, I should say I got God first. I got God, then I got my health, then I got my relationships. So I'm good. So perception allows you to do this. Just like a muscle, guys. You might intellectually understand what I'm saying. If you don't train this and all you ever do is give lip service to this, it won't serve you. Things that are easy to do are not easy also not to do. Right? I have a six-pack. Do you know why? Because I work out, I train my body. I don't just intellectually understand how to do sit-ups and crunches. I do them. So then we've got reason. Your reason, this is an interesting one. Reason, we talked about it here with the conscious mind. This is what gives you the ability to say yes or no. You can decide. You can choose what you accept or deny. That's your ability. That's your reason. That's your God-given gift. I can talk to you right now till I'm blue in the face. I can believe everything and I could want so much good for you. But if you don't want it for yourself, that's your choice. You can choose to listen to me right now and you can choose to hear the truth of what I'm saying. You can choose to understand every word that's coming out of my mouth is for your benefit. If you would just listen and come back to this and repeat it over and over and over until it's so part of your makeup that you can't help but think like this because you understand this will serve you and move you higher and higher up the chain of vibration, up the chain of frequency, moving you closer to enlightenment. Or you could say, you know what, I don't agree with this. I don't like this. Either way, it's okay. But understand, that's your reason. That's your mental faculty. That's the muscle that you're flexing there. And finally, we've got intuition. The best way for me to describe intuition is this is the side of you that connects to higher consciousness. All humans, think about yourself like this. You're all computers. Your minds, your brains, computers. And we could have the most powerful computer in the world, but typically if it's not hooked up to the internet, we find that its capacity is very limited. It's got to be hooked up to the network in order to get the data. Intuition, this is your Wi-Fi router to higher consciousness. This is you hooking up to the internet. This is you getting to be a part of that larger network where you can pull the data. You've got to learn to listen to your intuition. And again, these are all muscles. So learning to listen to your intuition, it takes practice. Most people don't listen to the intuition because they're constantly just dealing with the five senses, what they can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. They're working with what they see in the finite world. This is working with the infinite. This is working with the finite. This is working with the infinite. Neither one is better than the other. They're both, this is a part of being human. I'm so grateful that I have these five senses. It allows me to experience this world. But this allows me to pull from the invisible and bring over to the visible. Understand that. When it comes to now bringing it back to us, to you, to why this matters to you. Marlon, what's all this mean? Why do I care? Here's why you care. We're only going to talk about these two for a second. We're going to talk about our imagination because that's how we started to make this picture. And we're going to talk about our will. Because when I combine my imagination and my will, what I can do is I can create thoughts for myself that are empowering. I am a high performance coach. Before I would say those words, it was new to me. I've been able to go out and produce just as much money coaching as I have done in real estate. And even going into real estate, I used to do this. I would use my imagination to see myself as a real estate investor. Although it's no longer the identity I'm closely identifying with anymore. I'm moving into a new chapter of my life. But when I moved into the chapter of being a real estate investor, I would say it over. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor. I would use my imagination to see me as a real estate investor. I would use my willpower to see me and to hold that thought still. And I would use the willpower for a myriad of things. But it was building that image, and I was impressing it. The reason I was using my will was I was impressing it upon my mind so I can eventually get it through the barrier into my subconscious mind. Because when it got into the subconscious mind, it started to change me vibrationally. It started to change the way I resonated with people. You ever met a person that they walk into the room and they have a different level of confidence to them? They have an aura about them. They have this feel, this conviction about them. That's their subconscious mind resonating with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is picking up on that. You're feeling their vibration. When I want to create a new reality, when I want to have a paradigm shift, a change of self-image, a change of character, a change of who I am as a person, I'm going to use my imagination to conjure that person up. I'm going to use my willpower to hold that image still and to press it through to the subconscious mind. And what helps with this, if the thing I imagine is highly emotionalized, you got to get emotionally involved with that person, with that image, with that thought that you want to do. Emotionally involved to the point where it makes you feel some type of way, because feeling is going to be the shortcut into the subconscious mind. This is why you can listen to a lot of information and it doesn't necessarily do anything to you. It doesn't get into your subconscious mind, but you hear something that triggers you and you're like, oh my God, like I need to go and take action on it because it was emotionally charged. The subconscious mind is also known as the emotional mind. So just remember that. This is the emotional mind. I'm going to grab a quick sip of coffee, y'all. But I want y'all to keep that in place. Also, shout out to the people on StreamYard. We got about 256 people. What up, Ryan? What up, Pedro? What up, Abraham? Oh my gosh, Alex, what's going on? Appreciate you guys for hanging out on the YouTube channel right now. Hopefully this is clicking. This is making sense. All right, so let's bring it back for a second. We understand how this works. The goal here, the name of the game, this is how we start to think into results. The name of the game is to get this thought into the subconscious mind. Now, later on, I'll do another video where I talk about the terror barrier. I'll talk about what it starts to feel like when this comes into the subconscious mind, because when it starts to come in there in the beginning, I want you to understand what it's going to feel like going through the transition, because the transition, it's uncomfortable. Even when you're transitioning for the better, even when you're transitioning for greatness, for a better life, for more health, wealth, and prosperity, it will feel uncomfortable. It will feel like to most people, it almost feels like a bad thing. It's just you haven't calibrated your mind to understand that emotion yet. So it feels like a bad, because change is uncomfortable. So when you're feeling discomfort, if you ever felt discomfort on your journey of entrepreneurship, on your journey of growth, on your journey of life, recognize that discomfort always came before transformation. Always. It always happens. It is a part of the process until you get to higher and higher and higher states. But when you're getting out of lower states, you're typically going to be uncomfortable. Almost always you'll be uncomfortable because it's new and novel. What you can start to do is recognize that that discomfort's a part of the game, and you will start to find joy. You'll actually find yourself looking forward to the discomfort. And in a weird way, the discomfort will become enjoyable. Because at that point, here's what's cool. You'll be training your perception. We use all of these. As you start to use all of these, your level of consciousness rises. Who you are as a person rises. The aura you have about you, the way people feel when they're near you, it becomes different. Some of you have met me in person. In fact, I gotta say it, I'm gonna say one of the coolest things. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I am. I really am actually tooting my own horn because I think I'm pretty damn awesome. I mean that. And I'm awesome because God made me that way. God is freaking dope. Yesterday, May, on my birthday, while we're at dinner, she had everyone go around the room and say something kind about me. And first off, shout out to May. Thank you, May. That was the coolest thing anyone's ever done for me on my birthday. That was just awesome. I got to hear so many kind words, and I got to just sit there and embrace it and be loved. And that's just thank you, May. Thank you. And so when it was going around the room and it was these things were being said, what was interesting was it was helping me reshift my own perception about myself. And I was gaining a higher and higher and higher perception about myself. The way I was seeing me was growing and elevating. So things will start to shift with your perception. Let's bring it now over to what I want to talk about here with alignment. We're going to talk about these 3 topics, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. Alignment. Alignment is when I talk about what's happening here, we're talking about having a paradigm shift so that you can change and become the person who you want to be. When you say you want to be a millionaire, I started off this video by saying I was driving in my car saying I am a top producing high performance coach. I'm a top producing high performance coach. I'm a top producing high performance coach. So that's what I was saying with affirmations. I need to be in alignment with that. So if my 5 senses, if my world doesn't show it to me, right now I'm grateful. My world does show it to me. So I'm able to get proof and evidence from my physical environment. But also the reason I was able to get it from my physical environment was because it started in my imaginary environment first. I had to start getting into alignment with the good I wanted. Some of you right now, you're working on your goals, dreams, and vision, and you're not in alignment with it yet. And here's what we can do to shortcut getting into alignment. Start to think about the person that you want to be and start to ask yourself, what does that person do? How does that person think? What does that person say? And start to find the small activities that that person would do on a day-to-day and begin to do some of those activities to start to give yourself proof. If I say I'm a salesman, then I should be making sales calls. If I say I'm an artist, I should be drawing art. If I say I'm a basketball player, I should be playing basketball. This is how I'm going to start to get into alignment, because as I get into alignment, I'm going to start to see this transition from conscious to subconscious will start to occur faster. And that brings me into this formula right here. I would write this formula down. Be, do, have. Be, do, have. This is the formula to building. This is the mental framework. When you think in terms of personal development and growth, think in terms of being, doing, and then having. Become the person, then do the work, and then have the results. A lot of times people are trying to mix these two. They try to do, be, have, right? I'm going to do the work, and by nature of doing the work, I become the person. But mentally become the person first, right? Become the basketball player in your head, then go pick up the basketball. Now, these things are very closely connected. They're not like far apart. It's not like I'm going to only think about being the basketball player first before I ever go out and do the doing. But before I do the doing, I'm going to prime myself. Prime. Keyword prime. I'm going to prime and then go into the doing versus just doing it as a. Here's what happens. It used to happen to me all the time with my sales calls. I would get on the phone to make sales calls, but already I was like, man, like I don't have any experience. I'm not a real estate investor. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a sales guy. I don't know what I'm doing. I'd get on the phone like that. Do you think I'm going to convert a lot of phone calls? Do you think I have a lot of conviction in my voice if before I get on this, all I'm thinking about is like the last 40 calls I messed up, the last 30 people that told me no? There's not going to be conviction because I forego the being part. I just went right into the doing. But who's doing the work? Is it the winner or is it the loser? Is it the version of me that's up here? Is it the version of me that's in my imagination? Or is it the version of me that I see here, taste, smell, and touch? Work on being first. Prime yourself. Give yourself 5 minutes. Write down the characteristics of the person you want to be. Think about them. See them in your head. Meditate. Say it out loud. Like I'm a top producing high performance coach. I'm a top producing salesman. I'm a top producing saleswoman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a successful entrepreneur. I help people. Say the I ams and then go do the work. Right? And just like any muscle, the more you practice doing this, the more you practice priming yourself before you do the work, what will happen is now your doings will start to create the havings. And please don't be afraid to make a mistake. Please don't be afraid to say, but Marlon, I did it once and it didn't happen yet. Because this is why number 3 is improvement volume. Improvement volume. It is a process, people. Just because you intellectually understand the process does not mean you get to skip the process. It is a process. I plant a seed in the soil. I still have to wait for it to grow. You get a girl pregnant, you still got to wait 9 months for the baby. It doesn't just come because you understand the baby's coming. So there's volume involved. There's time involved. There's a process involved. You want to make the result come faster? Do more being, do more doing. Take action on it. Act. Give life to your thoughts through action. This is critical. So hopefully this is helping you think a different way. Hopefully this was a good interruption to your day, a good 30 minutes. And like I said in the beginning, if this stuff went a little over your head, no worries. Come back, rewatch the video. Watch it over and over and over again, because repetition is going to provide that volume for you. Repetition is going to provide that volume. So guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was valuable. Also, if you're watching on Instagram, make sure you go over to the YouTube. You'll get the full whiteboard experience. And I'm freaking excited to announce that we got the Mind Over Matter Mastermind happening in September 8th to the 10th. If you're interested in that, go to my Instagram at Mindset Marlon and click the link tree for the application. We're only taking 15 people, and the people that register before August 1st, because it's July right now, before August 1st are going to get a special bonus. So guys, appreciate you for being here. Let me just take a look over at the chat. Ryan, appreciate you. Abraham, appreciate you. Dude, you guys are the best. 255 people live on YouTube right now. If you're on Instagram, go to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is where it's at. Guys, we're going to log out for today, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your Friday.